The generation of the internet, the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and of course the Back to the Future series, we are the Millennials. And the media loves to call us lazy and narcissistic and self-obsessed and even deluded. I am here with three Millennials today in the flesh, not via Skype. With me is Parker from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Sabiha from Design Action Collective, and Justin from Dropbox. All right guys, Parker, are we a narcissistic generation?
I don't think we're any more narcissistic than any generation, but I think that there may be more dialogue now or conversation about ourselves, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Do you think, though, that technology might make us more apathetic? Is technology making us lazy when we have something at the touch of a button?
Not at all, because like everyone's saying here, it's a tool. So we can use that tool for entertainment, for doing our errands, and we can also use it to communicate with each other and stay even more civically engaged than we may have been otherwise. Vine and these tools are places where people who don't have access to larger media centers will be able to share their points of view. And that's very powerful.
How do you respond to the fact that 57% of millennials engage in political activity via social media and nothing else?
If you flip that around and say that 57% of millennials are talking about politics and political issues in their community, that's significant. One of the communities that has been using this to tremendous effect are feminists, and especially feminists of color, who have these conversations. Often it will center around a hashtag, and then they get reports in the media by the New York Times and the Washington Post and the major outlets, and then that has a real policy impact.
Do you think that those same 57% would, let's say, go to a protest?
I don't think that's actually a useful gauge. I think that there's a lot of different ways to be politically engaged, and some people want to march in the streets and some people don't. But that doesn't mean that people that don't march in the streets are any less committed or effective as far as being a voice in their community.
So given that most millennials will struggle and do not own a home when, let's say, their parents were able to put a down payment when they were, let's say, 20 years old, and given that the job market is pretty precarious, what are your thoughts on sort of the future for millennials economically and maybe your own situations?
I think there's this kind of, it's part of the American dream. It's like, oh, I need to own a home and I need to, and maybe that might not be the case for this generation. Maybe it's okay if you don't buy a home. Maybe renting is okay for you. Maybe you're in a position where you want to travel or you want to be in different places all the time. Having that house doesn't necessarily mean, you've achieved this, I guess, quote unquote American dream in a way.
And we are seeing people be very creative in alternative solutions to career, home, family, still holding on to our own values and not just going with whatever an institution already has laid out for us. People are figuring out creative housing situations with collective home buying. So there's a lot of alternatives that are being explored because the structures are so rigid and difficult right now, and that's very exciting too.
Between 18 and 34, say hello to never buying a house. What do you do now?
I have 3 jobs now.
What's your retirement plan looking like?
Well,